Hello everyone, my name is Monk. I'm a rank 1 mistweaver, and this is going to be my guide for mistweaver and FISTWEAVER. This is going to be a relatively short guide just to get you to understand the very basics of mistweaver and FISTWEAVER. It's going to be roughly around half an hour for each spec, so you can just follow along, make sure you get the gear that you need, and that's it. I'm going to get right into it. So the races that you're going to want to have for a caster mistweaver is going to be Orc for Horde and Night Elf for Alliance. Now, Orc on Horde is going to allow you to get a 20% passive stun reduction, which means that if you get stunned, it's 20% shorter, which will allow you to survive longer as you are relatively squishy and die in stuns. So for Alliance, you can choose to play Night Elf as that will allow you access to the ability Shadow Meld, which you can use to Shadow Meld certain abilities. Like imagine a Warlock's casting a Fear on you, you can Shadow Meld that to avoid it, or a Polymorph, you can Shadow Meld that to avoid it, as well as Shadow Melding, which drops combat and allows you to drink. So if you're playing like a 3v3 game and you're having struggle, and if you're struggling to drop combat, you can just roll away, make sure that your team is full health, and just Shadow Meld and instantly start drinking, which is very good. So those are two races, like Orc for Horde and Night Elf for Alliance. And now we can get into the stats for a caster mistweaver. So you're going to want roughly 20 to 25% haste, around 175-ish mastery, and 30 versus. Basically what I have here, and that'll allow you to do a lot of healing. The reason why you're playing a lot of haste or relatively a lot of haste, is that you need to get these spells off, even though they do a lot of healing. So I'd recommend playing some haste as a caster mistweaver. Then let's get started with gear. So for tier set as a mistweaver, you're only gonna want to play 2 set, which means chest and shoulders. The reason why you don't play 4 set is you just drop too much mastery and versatility going into 4 set, and the healing that you get for the mastery lost is not enough. So play 2 set, chest and shoulders. Otherwise, all your other pieces you're going to prio versatility, mastery, and then a little bit of haste. So I'm just going to quickly scan through my gear. So for my necklace, I have a vendor necklace. For my hat, I have a vendor hat. Make sure that these are versatility and mastery. And the gems that you're going to want are going to be called Zen Netherite. They give you 70 mastery, 33 versatility, which is going to allow you to get more mastery. That's the best gem that you can get. And then for the wrists, you're going to get one of the crafted things. It's a little bit of a complicated one. It only gives you 1 stat, and the 1 stat that you're going to want is mastery. So you're going to make sure you buy the right missive on the crafting post for this. And then you get a vendor staff. You're always going to play medallion. Never don't play medallion as any healer or anything whatsoever. You need a trinket. And then your secondary trinket, I would recommend Insignia. That allows you to get more haste, so you can have 23% haste like I do, and be able to get your spells off quick. So, yeah, I would recommend this. Gives you a lot of haste, and you get a primary stat proc randomly. And then rings, you're gonna craft them as haste mastery. This is just gonna be good because it allows you to get more haste, so you can get your spells off quicker. And then we're going to go over embellishments in a second. First mastery on the boost, first mastery on the pants. You're going to get a haste belt, so you get a little more haste, and then first mastery on the gloves. So the embellishments that you're going to want to have as a caster mistweaver, I would get 1 mastery embellishment, which is called Blue Silken Linen, and this is going to give you 650 mastery when you're above 90% health, which will help you get your mastery up and allow you to do more healing. And then for the boots, you're going to want to put precog on them, which will basically mean if somebody kicks you while you're not casting, or if you fake a kick, you'll be immune to CC and knockbacks for 4 seconds. As well as being able to have aura mastery on your cast as well. It's very important. You must have precog. I would recommend this embellishment the most. You have to have precog pretty much. It's an essential. It's like playing mistweaver without life. You can't do it. And then otherwise, that's gonna be a basic overview of the gear. I'm gonna go over the enchants that you want as a caster mistweaver real quick. So on the staff, we're gonna have Sophic Devotion on every healer in the game. Mistweaver, Fistweaver, Disc, Holy, Arshot, anything, you're going to want to have Sophic Devotion because that allows you to proc primary stat, which is massive for your healing. You're gonna need a lot of primary stat. So getting Sophic Devotion is the best weapon enchant that you can get, and nothing else is better than Sophic Devotion. For the wrists, you're just going to get a simple speed enchant. A lot of these, the only option to enchant them is speed, so you're just going to spec into speed. It'll allow you to move around the map faster, which is good as a mistweaver. And then the chest enchant, you're going to get Reserve of Intellect. This will allow you to get more mana. So you notice how I have 275k mana. Normally people have like 250k mana. But with these two enchants on the legs and the chest, I'll go over the legs one in a second. It'll allow you to get 275,000 mana. So you get Reserve of Intellect on the chest, Homebound Speed on the cloak, and you're going to get tiered medallion settings to get 3 sockets on your necklace. You can buy these at the auction house, and then you put Zen and Nelthorite in them so that you get more mastery. So anyways, moving on, the belt enchant, you can choose to get this. I find it relatively expensive to buy, but it's called a Shadow Belt Clasp, and basically this just gives you like 100 stamina or something. It is really, really minor, but if you really want to min-max, you should get this belt enchant. That's it for the belt. And then the legs, you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to want to go to the leg armor in the auction house, and you are going to buy the temporal spell thread, which gives you 5% more mana and 177 intellect, which is very important to get you to 275,000 mana, which is the most mana you can have. If you're not doing that, that's not good. You need 275,000 mana. Boots enchant, you're gonna get Watcher's Loam. You can also get a speed enchant if you want. It's really what you prefer. I prefer Watcher's Loam as it gives you some stamina, and I just prefer to have the extra stamina because that's extra health rather than the speed. And then ring enchants, I enchant them with haste so that I can have a little more haste just so I can get my casts off. And then that is going to be it for enchants. So make sure that you have all of those enchants. I'm going to link my armory in the description of this video so you can take a look at my armory and you can slow it down and look at what piece of gear you need, but I just reviewed them real quick in case you don't look in the description, you know? So armory will be in the description so you can take a look at my gear and all my enchants and everything. Yeah, anyways, moving on to talents. All right, so your talents for Caster Mistweaver, pretty simple. You never want to change any of your talents before the game starts except for Revival and Restoral. Now, you're only going to want to swap to Revival when you're fighting an Elemental Shaman or an Affliction Warlock, as those specs have a lot of magical debuffs that you need to be dispelling, and Revival dispels them instantly on a 1.5 minute cooldown. So you only spec into Revival when you fight Affliction Warlocks or Elemental Shamans, and then you play Restoral into everything else because you can use Restoral while you're stunned, and that is very important. So Revival into Elemental Shamans and Affliction Warlocks, Restoral into everything else. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's not an Elemental Shaman or an Affliction Warlock, you play Restoral. Anyways, moving on to the main premise of this build, which is Tea of Serenity. And now Tea of Serenity, the way this works is normally when you press Thunder Focus Tea, you get 2 spells that get empowered, right? And this is whatever ones you pick, really. But basically what Tea of Serenity does is it gives you 2 random spells that you get basically extra charges of Thunder Focus Tea with. So for Vivify, you get a free Vivify for Enveloping Mist. You can use it instant cast, and it does more healing, and then Renewing Mist just goes on for a longer duration. So now generally when you ever repop Thunder Focus Tea, you're not going to want to use Renewing Mist whenever you press it, and you're going to want to use enveloping mist. Because how Mistweaver's rotation works is whenever you cast Soothing Mist, and you always cast Enveloping Mist, and this is the reason why you get a 40% increased healing whenever you cast Enveloping Mist. Also, the hot is massive, so Enveloping Mist should be one of your top heals as a Mistweaver, if not the top, combining with Gust of Mist, which is your mastery, which is why it's important to have a lot of mastery. So whenever you pop your Thunder Focus Tea, you're going to want to make sure you have an Enveloping Mist up. And basically, Thunder Focus Tea will allow you to be able to cast spells while you're moving. If you have to fake like a counter spell or something, don't worry. If you have Thunder Focus Tea, you can pop that and you get at least 2 guaranteed Enveloping Mist heals, which are massive heals that you can use to top somebody. And then another talent that's also notable for a very basic burst healing rotation is Vivificacious Vivification. And basically, this talent gives you a free Vivify every 10 seconds. So, for example, let me just wait a second until I have it back, because I just used it right there. But basically, what you would want to do for a lot of burst healing, if you cannot cast and you need to fake some kicks, you would just not fake kicks. You would press Thunder Focus Tea, and you see it procs an extra Enveloping Mist and an extra Renewing Mist. So here, I could press 3 Enveloping Mists right here, and then an instant cast Vivify, and that would top somebody easily. So that's a very basic burst healing rotation if you can't cast. And you can also do this while moving, because you can use the Enveloping Mists from your Thunder Focus Tea. As you see right there, it says instant cast. So you don't have to worry about casting Soothing Mist to get an enveloping off. You can just instantly toss those out. So another thing to look at is Mending Proliferation. This is just a little proc that you can get from having Enveloping Mist on a target, which is why it's important to get those Enveloping Mists out. If you don't have an Enveloping Mist on a target and you need to heal them, Enveloping Mist is your first priority always. You're always going to cast Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Thunder Focus Tea, Enveloping Mist, whatever, but you have to get that ability up because that is your main heal. Never Vivify without an Enveloping Mist on a target, ever. So basically, this is a chance to proc, and that's just extra healing. If you see that up, you can get a massive heal on a target. It's just more healing, very, very basic. And then something else to look at is Mana Tea. Now, Mana Tea is basically what you're going to be focusing on the whole game. It's basically what you're going to be managing. So basically, as you spend your mana, as a Mistweaver, you're going to be gaining stacks of Mana Tea for, I think, like every 10,000 or 20,000 mana you spend. And basically, this will allow you to restore mana for every stack. It says 3,600 mana per stack. And then also gives you a second of Mana Tea. And now what Mana Tea does is right here, you see it gives mana cost of spells reduced by 30%. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use Mana Tea with your big spenders like Enveloping Mist or Yulon. So now Yulon is what I would recommend using Mana Tea on the most, because that's your minute-long cooldown. This costs the most mana on Mistweaver. 12,500. So what you're going to want to do every minute is you're going to want to pop at least 2 stacks of Mana Tea and then instantly go for the Yulon. And now what Yulon does is it gives you 50% off on your next Enveloping Mist cast. So, or on all your Enveloping Mist casts during the duration of Yulon. So if I pop that, it's going to be 30% off on Yulon, and then all of my Enveloping Mists are going to be 50% off for 12 seconds. So that's something that's important to know. And now you can also use your Mana Tea when you don't have your Yulon. You can pop your Mana Tea and you cast a Soothing Mist and an Enveloping Mist just to get those discounts on those heals before your Mana Tea expires. So it's very important to not stack this up until it has 20 stacks. It's better to use it in small bursts, because let's say you pop 20 stacks of Mana Tea. You're not going to be healing for 20 seconds straight, so it's better to pop these in like stacks of like 3 or 4. If you're new to Mistweaver, it might be a bit hard, but you're going to have to get used to it if you want to manage your mana well, because I have a lot of people go to my chat, it's like, help, I'm ooming in a minute. What do I do? This is what you do. You make sure that you're popping your Mana Tea stacks at 2 or more and using Yulon or an Enveloping Mist with them. And Yulon should be pretty much pressed on cooldown every single time. So, going forward, that might just be all the things that you need to know about talent tree for here. So now I'm going to go over some buttons that you never want to use as a caster mistweaver. And those two buttons are Essence Font and Chi Wave. Take these abilities off your bars. You are never going to press them ever. And if you press them, you're throwing the game. So never use those abilities ever. Something to know is that they changed Healing Elixir in like the new patch. So now you have 2 Healing Elixirs, and whenever you drop below 40% health, they heal you for 20% of your health. So with the removal of those Healing Elixirs, they also buffed Expel Harm, which means Expel Harm is basically your new Healing Elixir. And now it does quite a bit of healing. So it's basically like 1 Healing Elixir. So what you would do is you just pop that, and that's a massive heal. It healed for, you guys probably didn't see it, but I saw it healed for 443,000 with 1 heal. That is a massive heal. So pretty much if you're kiting, you're struggling to get away, you want to use your Thunder Focus Tea for those instant cast enveloping mists, as well as Expel Harm. And something that they also added to Thunder Focus Tea is whenever you press Expel Harm while you have Thunder Focus Tea stacks up, it will send one of those stacks for to give you a little shield right there, and that'll give me a Chi Cocoon for 151,000 health, which is just a little extra shield that goes with your Expel Harm for more healing. So if you're really having trouble getting some heals off, that's a great shield that you can use. Other than that, I'm going to go over the basic rotation. So we're going to go head over all the way to the target dummy over here. And let's say I'm trying to heal this target dummy. I'm going to drop my statue, make sure that I have this Soothing Mist up, as it will stack stacks of Calming Coalescence, which will make my Life Cocoon more, because normally you would have to get Soothing Mist for that, and you'd have to channel it to get stacks, but the statue gives you stacks for you. So you see a pop Life Cocoon right here. That's a 1.5 mil shield. No one's killing through that. Life Cocoon is one of the strongest defensives that's not a bubble in this game. I mean, it basically is a bubble because it's a little bubble around you. So basically, healing rotation. If you have the global for it, you're going to want to drop a Sphere of Hope up. Actually, before we do this, I'm going to go over the PvP talents real quick. Sorry for confusing you guys a bit, but PvP talents that you're going to want to play, you're going to play Zen Focus Tea, Peace Weaver every single time. If you want to switch a PvP talent, you do not take out Peace Weaver ever. Peace Weaver is your best PvP talent ever, because it reduces the cooldown of revival by half, which is a massive heal. Revival can literally 0 to 100 people. It literally tops people in a global. It is your biggest heal, and Peace Weaver is just the best talent. So if you're going to change any talents, do not change Peace Weaver. I play Zen Spheres. Now, if you're starting on a Mistweaver, it can be a little bit awkward to fit them into your rotation. So if you want to play a little bit more safe, you can spec into Eminence, which will allow you to use your port while stunned. So imagine I'm at a pillar here, and I get stunned out in the open. I can port behind the pillar in the stun, and pretty much Eminence will allow you to never die in stuns, because then let's say I don't have port. Oh no, then you can use Restoral in a stun, and then on the next stun you can Trinket Cocoon, which basically makes Mistweavers immortal in stuns if you decide to play Eminence. So for someone starting Mistweaver, I'd recommend Eminence, and then slowly transition into playing Zen Spheres as you move on learning the spec. I choose to play Zen Focus Tea because a lot of Mistweavers pretty much can't heal if they can't cast, right? The only way that they can heal without casting is popping Thunder Focus Tea every 30 seconds, and that'll give you some heals that allow you to not cast with those instant cast enveloping mists. And the instant cast Vivify that you get every 10 seconds. So that's pretty much all you can do while moving to heal. Otherwise, you have to cast to heal. So Zen Focus Tea is very important, because if you have to fake kicks, you need to have Zen Focus Tea, as sometimes people kick into that, and that'll give you precog as well. But if you're in a situation where you need healing and you can't fake and you don't have enough time to fake a kick, Zen Focus Tea is really nice because you can just get those heals off without worrying about being kicked. And you have a 30-second cooldown on that Aura Mastery, which means that you can pretty much juggle Zen Focus Tea and Thunder Focus Tea together and pretty much not have to ever worry about being kicked too much. So, anyways, back to the basic healing rotation that you're going to want to do. So if you have time, you're going to want to pop a Sphere of Hope, which is 15% more healing, and then you're going to get an Enveloping Mist up, which makes you do 40% more healing. So all of this combined, you're going to do 55% more healing, and that's massive. You need those heals. So you're going to want to pop those multipliers. Chi Harmony says increased 50% healing, which is a lie. They nerfed it in PvP. You only get 15% increased healing every time you apply Renewing Mist in PvP. And something to note is that you don't really have to focus too much on applying a Renewing Mist, as whenever you press Enveloping Mist, it will apply a Renewing Mists to an ally for 6 seconds, and that'll pretty much like apply it for you. But if you have a free global, you're going to want to be pressing Renewing Mist just to get that up for Chi Harmony, so you do more healing. So basic healing rotation, make sure you have your healing orb up, and then you're going to cast Soothing Mist. You're going to pop an Enveloping Mist, and then pretty much once you have that Enveloping Mist, you're going to spam Vivify for the max amount of healing you can. Enveloping Mist, and then spam Vivify until the Enveloping Mist runs out, and that'll allow you to do the maximum amount of healing. Never press a Vivify on a target unless you have an Enveloping Mist on them. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out on so much healing. And that's basically it. It's a really simple healing rotation. Just got to make sure that you always have Enveloping Mist up before you press Vivify, and you should be good. You should be doing the most healing. So some relative things that you need to know is that Caster Mistweaver is not an aggressive healer. You are going to be playing very far back, sort of like a Resto Druid the whole game. So I'm just going to treat this room like an arena here. And at the start of an arena, I would drop my statue right in the middle so that it can hit stuff at the start. I would roll to the pillar here. I would drop a port at a pillar, and then I would move out somewhere like here and just play very far back from like my teammate. You could say it's like right here. And you just want to be playing far back. If anybody swaps you want to be making sure that you have distance from your port, because port is basically a really big mobility button for you. So let's say like I have 2 melees on me here, I can just port away from them, and it's important to get distance from your port so that you can kite better. Otherwise, you're pretty much staying back, just casting Soothing Mists, staying as far as you can, really, and that's Mistweaver Monk, pretty much. So some things that you need to know when you're like going to like CC things is, for example, if I wanted to like roll in and incap the healer, CCing the healer is something that you can do if your team is like topped, you have a lot of pressure, and you need to get some CC. So let's pretend that this dummy's the healer. I would roll in, I would incap, and I would instantly roll out. You don't want to be in longer than you have to be, you know? You just want to go in and out, roll in, incap on the healer, and roll out. Now, something to know about incap is that it shares incap DRs. So let's say you have a hunter or a mage on your team, you're not going to want to incap the healer, as that messes up their trap and their polymorph DR. Something important to know is that whenever you have a mage or a hunter, your incap is often going to be left unused. And if you are going to incap, you're going to want to use that on a DPS, on like a cast like a Fear or a polymorph, or any casted CC on you. You can use an incap to stop, or just dodge around the pillar, or port the cast, stuff like that. Otherwise, some other things that you can do, let's say I roll in, I incap the healer, and then after the incap ends, I can sweep the healer. That's like 7 seconds of CC. That's really good to lock down the healer and allow your teammates an open window to kill. Obviously, make sure they're off diminishing returns when you do something like this. And that's it. So there's obviously other uses for leg sweep than leg sweeping the healer. So let's say we're like fighting double melee or something. You can just roll in and you can double sweep the melee, as the melee are often going to be stacked. So sweeping DPS is a great option too. But incaps generally are going to go on the healer as a Mistweaver Monk. And then one more ability that you have is sort of like a utility button to help your teammates is Ring of Peace. Now, generally, you're going to want to use Ring of Peace to peel, although you can use it aggressively to like Ring of Peace the healer away from their teammates. So, for example, if you have like a caster being trained by 2 melee, you can place a ROP between the caster and the 2 melee, or just simply on the caster, and it will knock the melee away and allow the caster to get some space. So that they can cast some abilities or get away. Then you also have Tiger's Lust, and something that should be noted about Tiger's Lust is you can use this on enemies. So if you have like a warrior that's struggling to connect, you can put Tiger's Lust on them. It'll clear them of all their snares and make them go 70% faster, which will help them connect to their target and do damage and win you guys the game. Then let's do a quick review of defensive cooldowns. You have Dampen, Diffuse, Fortifying Brew, and that's pretty much it. Now, our cooldowns did get nerfed, so if something's training you, you cannot simply just pop Fortifying Brew, as you could pretty much die through that. So I'd say Dampen is a pretty strong cooldown. So if they swap to you, you can either pop Dampen, choose to tank the damage, send a little Ring of Peace, and then kite into your Ring of Peace. And then you also have Port to kite as well. So you're going to want to make sure that you're using those buttons when you have to. And making sure that you're popping Expel Harm for the alt add instant healing, etc. So, one more thing, if you want to get a little bit more offensive as a caster mistweaver, you picked the wrong spec, but there are some things that you can't do. So if you're playing orbs, you can apply an orb onto the kill target that your team is killing, and that will make them take 10% more damage and also deal 10% less damage to you. So if you're going to be being trained, and if you have the global, it's very important. If you have the global, you can apply a orb onto the thing that's killing you, and it'll make them do 10% less damage to you. But that's not really the priority when you're getting trained. But if you have the global for that, go for it. So I'll make them do 10% more damage, and something important to know is that whenever you do a melee attack or something, you apply Mystic's Touch to the target, and this makes them take 5% more physical damage. So if you're playing with casters, this is not going to be beneficial at all, but if you're playing with melees, applying Mystic's Touch will make them do 5% more damage, which is a good damage buff. If you have a free global, your team is topped, stuff like that. So something to note is that you can actually apply Mystic's Touch without being in melee range. You don't have to Rising Sun Kick or Blackout Kick to apply Mystic's Touch. Let's say I could be all the way back here and I could apply Mystic's Touch, and that's with the ability Crackling Jade Lightning. So if I press Crackling Jade Lightning, it instantly applies Mystic's Touch, and you can stay back and stay ranged of everything that you need to be ranged of while still applying that Mystic's Touch for the extra damage to your teammates. So combining with the orb for 10% more damage and the Mystic's Touch, this is pretty much the equivalent to a Disc Priest's Dark Archangel, which is 15% more damage, and you pretty much have that for the whole game if you can keep this uptime, which is pretty important since you're just AFKing the whole game. So that is pretty much Caster Mistweaver. Anyways, I'm going to transition into FISTWEAVER right now. So if you're a Caster Mistweaver, that's all I got for you. I stream on Twitch. It'll be in the description. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask, and I will answer guaranteed. As well as I also have a Discord. I'll also link that in the description. So anyways, transitioning into the FISTWEAVER portion of the guide. The races that you're going to want to play for FISTWEAVER are going to be the same as Caster Mistweaver plus 1 race. So if you're Horde, what you're going to want is you're going to want to play Orc just for the stun reductions, so you can get out of stun sooner. Orc is a really good race. It also doesn't require you to press any buttons. Any extra button, like an extra racial button. So if you're struggling with keybinds, that'll be one less keybind for you to worry about. Otherwise, if you want to play Alliance, you can pick Night Elf, which will allow you to shadow meld. So as a FISTWEAVER, when you're really in the fight a lot, shadow meld can be useful, as if somebody's like casting a polymorph or something on you. It can be really, really, really good if you just shadow meld that cast. So that you don't get hit with the polymorph or the fear or whatever they're casting on you, clone, any castable CC, right? You can meld that. It's not really so much used for drinking because Fistweavers don't have mana issues, as they just don't run out of mana because spec's kind of broken. I'm going to be honest. If you want to play Fistweaver, pick the right spec because this spec's really, really strong. But you obviously can Shadow Meld for the combat drop and drink if you need to, if you absolutely need to as a Fistweaver. So, some basic things that we're going to go over are stats. So as a Fistweaver, the stat priority that you're going to follow is versatility, haste, and crit. You're going to want no mastery. You want nothing to do with mastery as a Fistweaver because your heals are not going to be affected by mastery. So as you can see right here, I only have 200 mastery on my Fistweaver. So not a lot of mastery at all. You're going to want as little mastery as you can. Obviously, I only have this because I'm getting 4 cells. I'll talk about gear in a second. But pretty much you're going to want something like 40% versatility, 30% haste, and 12%-ish crit. However much crit you can get, more is better. Usually get it with gems. Anyways, I'll review gear. I'm going to move over here for a second, just so you guys can see. All right. So for Fistweaver, you're going to want to run 4 set. That's because a lot of the tier pieces are good for Fistweaver. Allows you to get more. As you get stats, and the healing from 4 set is going to be helpful. So for Fistweaver, you're going to want to play 4 set, and you're going to have tier on every piece except for leggings. So you're going to have tier on gloves, you're going to have tier on chest, you're going to have tier on shoulders, and you're going to have a tier on your hat. For the necklace, what you're going to want to do is you're going to buy a vendor necklace, haste, versatility, and the gems that you want as a Fistweaver are called crafty alchstrasite. And this allows you to get more critical strikes, so your abilities hit harder when they crit, and it also will do more healing when abilities crit, so gives you more healing. And that's because a lot of the time you're going to be capped on your stats already. So you see right here, oh, got to spell my Alpha Tiger. I don't actually have 60% haste. I only have that with a PvP talent. You see right here, true stat values. It's that little blue bar at the end of that. So it'll show you that I'm actually losing I have a 10% penalty on all the haste that I get. So let's say I get 100 haste. I'm actually only going to be getting 90 haste if I decided to get more haste, and that would just diminish the amount of haste I get. Same thing with my versatility. I have a 10% penalty on that. So it's just better to get some more crit, which is not penalized because I don't have a lot of crit. So it's better to get these crit gems as it'll just allow you to min-max more stats. So for cloak, you're pretty much just going to get all the haste, versatility, vendor pieces as you can, as well as 4 set. So that's pretty much it for gear. You're gonna get vendor staff. You're gonna craft a belt, haste, versatility only. You're gonna get pants, haste, versatility only. You're gonna get boots, haste, versatility only. You're gonna craft 2 crafted rings. It's gonna be haste, versatility only. And for the trinkets, you're always gonna want to play a medallion and an insignia, because the haste is very important. You need a lot of haste as Fistweaver, and the primary stat proc from the insignia is also really good because it just allows you to do more healing. So this is gear I would play. I would never change any of my gear. So Armory is going to be linked in the description, obviously, if you want to go copy this gear. And the enchants, I'll go over enchants right now. So for the weapon, you're going to want to have Sophic Devotion. So we went over this earlier. Sophic Devotion for every healer, you're going to have this enchant. Sophic Devotion is the best weapon enchant for a healer. And then for bracers, 200 speed. For the chest, Reserve of Intellect gives you more mana, helps you not gives you intellect. For the cloak, Homebound speed. Don't really have a better option. And then you're going to get tiered medallion settings for the necklace, and you're going to put crafty alchstrasites in them to get yourself some more crit. And then moving on to the bright side of the gear. On the belt, you can choose to get a Shadow Belt class. These are pretty expensive. They're like 12k gold. So if you don't want to get it, it's not a big deal because it's only like 100 stamina compared to the let me hit a target dummy, compared to the 51,000 stamina you have. So if you really want that extra 100 stamina to min-max, you can go buy that belt enchant, but I'm going to be honest, it's a little bit of a waste of gold. But buy it if you want to min-max. And then for the pants, you're going to get the same as Caster Mistweaver. You're going to get the Intellect and Mana leg armor. Boots, get Watcher's Loam. That'll give you some more stamina. I prefer it over the speed enchant because I just like the extra stamina you get from Watcher's Loam. And then for the rings, you're going to craft 2 rings, and they're going to be haste and versatility. You don't want any mastery. You just want to make sure that you're maximizing your versatility and your haste values, and you're going to put crit and haste gems in those. And then that's going to be it. We're going to go over embellishments, and then we're going to move on to talents. So the embellishments that you're going to want on FISTWEAVER is called Verdant Tether. And basically, this allows you to, whenever you heal an ally or something, I'll see if I can get it to proc while I'm talking. But basically, whenever you heal an ally, you have a chance of getting like a little tether in between you and your ally, and this will give you versatility based on how close you are to them. So for example, if I got it to proc here, I would have a tether, like sort of like this Soothing Mist. It would look kind of like that, and basically the closer you are to the target, the more versatility that you're going to get. And since you're generally stacked with your teammates as a FISTWEAVER, it's very helpful because you're going to get a lot of versatility value from this embellishment, as opposed to like playing a Caster Mistweaver when you're 40 yards away from your teammate and you're going to be max range. You're not going to be getting versatility value that you would get if you were playing a FISTWEAVER. So Verdant Tether, I'd put this on the belt and the rings. You don't need precog as a FISTWEAVer because you're not going to be casting at all. So or not at all. You will be casting maybe 1 time per game, but I'll get into that later. So anyways, Verdant Tether for both of the pieces, and this will allow you to get more versatility, which will make you tankier and do more damage. Alright, so moving on to talents. So talents for FISTWEAVER, pretty simple. These are talents that I run. The link, the copy for the talents will be in the description of the video. I'm actually just going to add up a little more just so you can see my bars. And basically, the premise of FISTWEAVing works off of Feline Stomp. So, FISTWEAVing, you can't play FISTWEAVing without Feline Stomp and Ancient Teachings. And basically, what Ancient Teachings does is it allows you your Tiger Palm, I'm going to read it here, Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, and RSK, or Rising Sun Kick, to heal up to 5 allies of 150% of your damage done. So that's pretty much how FISTWEAVing works, is you have to have that buff up to be able to do healing. If you don't have the buff up, you're not going to heal with your abilities. So you have to make sure you have your Feline down, which procs your Ancient Teachings. And then basically you're going to want to press Tiger Palm, which will allow you to get 2 stacks of Teachings to the Monastery. And then you press Blackout Kick, and you notice how it cleaved 7 times. I got 7 Blackout Kicks with 1 global there, right? More than 7, easily 10 there, right? As opposed to if I just press Blackout Kick once, that's 1 Blackout Kick, right? So you're going to make sure you're standing in your Feline, you have your Ancient Teachings buff up. It's going to be important. You can get a weak aura or something to track this buff, but it also just pops up here if you have personal nameplate things or something on in the settings, which will allow you to just see that buff right there. And pretty much the basic rotation of a FISTWEAVer is going to be Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick. Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick. You don't press RSK. Obviously you do, but we'll get into that later. If you need basic quick healing, you're going to press Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick. Now, something important to know is that Invoke Chi-Chi enhances your healing by a lot. And it also gives you Enveloping Mist proc, so we'll get into that in a second. So let's say I pop a Tiger Palm here, I press my Chi-Chi. Now obviously that's going to give it 160,000 shield with Chi Cocoon, so that's a little shield. You already get some healing from that, and then you pop that, and that's going to be a lot of healing. It doesn't really show that on the dummies here because they're bugged. And then it will give you a proc for Enveloping Mist. So let's say I'm trying to heal this target dummy. I'm going to pop an Enveloping Mist on him, and I'm going to use an RSK, and that's going to refresh the Enveloping Mist because of the talent Rapid Diffusion. Every time you RSK, it renews the Renewing Mist. So right here, let me get an Enveloping Mist up. Got my Enveloping Mist up. I refresh it once, and if I'm lucky enough, I get a reset right there, and I refresh it again. Now, Enveloping Mist should be your second heal on FISTWEAVER, so it's very important to make sure that you're getting those applied, either with your Chi on cooldown, or pressing Thunder Focus Tea, targeting the target dummy, or the player in this case, and then pressing your Enveloping Mist, as that's going to be extra healing that you're going to need as a FISTWEAVER, since that's going to be your second heal, aside from Ancient Teachings. So that is pretty much the basic FISTWEAVER rotation. You're going to RSK to refresh your Enveloping Mists, and then you want to Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick. It's also notable that Teaching the Monastery stacks up to 4 stacks maximum, so if your team is full health, you can always just do a double Blackout Kick to get max stacks of Blackout Kick, so that when your team finally takes damage, you can have a massive heal of like 20 Blackout Kicks that's going to top your teammate when they finally take damage. And then one thing that's that also should be known is that Chi allows you to not be snared, rooted, or anything whatsoever for 12 seconds. It is literally a freedom that they can't dispel. So you'll pop that, and you can't be slowed. You can walk around. Let's say you're getting changed to Vice by a DK. You can just pop this ability, and you will be able to not get slowed, run around. Chi also makes you do a lot more healing and get those instant cast Enveloping Mist procs that you're going to refresh with RSK. So hopefully that wasn't too complicated. I feel like that was pretty basic. Now we're going to get into Mana Tea on FISTWEAVER. Now Mana Tea, it's usually very hard to press Mana Tea as a FISTWEAVER. It usually is. It honestly... It doesn't really fit too well with the rotation, but pretty much the times that you're going to want to use Mana Tea is right before you Feline Stomp, since Feline Stomp is going to be one of your biggest spenders, as well as Chi. So if you want to pop Mana Tea, you got to do it before you press Feline Stomp or Chi, because that will reduce the cast. You see it says 8,750 for Chi right there, and 7,000 for Jadefire, compared to 10,000 for Jadefire and 12,500 for Chi. So that'll give you 30% off on those two casts. It is notable that Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick do not cost mana, so the best way to be mana efficient on a FISTWEAVER is to only have one Jadefire Stomp down until that Ancient Teachings debuff expires, then pop another one and simply only use Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick to heal. And that'll allow you to pretty much stay full mana if you min-max this. Obviously, you're going to be wanting to apply Enveloping Mists and RSKs before extra healing, because you're not going to be able to just heal your team with Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick only. You're going to have to use extra healing buttons and cooldowns as necessary. One more thing is that Tiger's Lust, you can use that on yourself. It'll allow you to connect better. You can roll Tiger's Lust roll, and that'll allow you to connect to a target. Something to be noted is that there's also an ability in the talent tree called Sheilun's Gift, and I'm going to talk about that right now. So basically what Sheilun's Gift does is every time you're in combat, you get a stack of this ability called Sheilun's Gift. And every 6 seconds, you get a stack. And it stacks up to 10 times, and basically you get, it's a cast. So you don't want to cast this in a bunch of melee's faces after you haven't casted anything all game, because they're just going to kick you on it instantly, and you're not going to be able to get your Sheilun's Gift off. So I would do this when you're struggling to connect. You can just cast this when the melees are like away from you or something, and you can get that cast off, right? Also, if you're getting trained, you're like 30% or something, you can simply just port out and you can pop Sheilun's Gift. That'll give you a massive heal and a buff. So right here we got Lesson of Fear, which means we get 20% haste and 15% less damage taken. So right here we're gonna have a lot of haste, and if I get Alpha Tiger off this PvP talent for 20% more haste, we have 88% haste, and we are look at my globals right now. This is a lot of healing that I can do right here. 88% haste. If you have those two buffs. Now, obviously, Sheilun's Gift is not going to give you the same buff every time. There are 4 different buffs: Lesson of Doubt, Lesson of Despair, Lesson of Fear, Lesson of Anger, and all of these are insanely good. So you're going to want to make sure when you're in trouble, when you need healing, when you can't connect, you're going to be casting your Sheilun's Gift to get one of these 4 buffs. So yeah, you can just take a look at them here. 40% more healing based on their current health. Crit is increased by 30%. Damage taken by 15%. 20% more haste. 20% of the damage you're healing is duplicated every 4 seconds. Very, very good buffs. And now something to note about Shaylin's Gift is that its healing scales with how many stacks you have. So I would recommend using Shaylin's Gift when you have 6 or more stacks. Now, obviously, sometimes you can go games without pressing Shaylin's Gift at all, because it really isn't that big of a deal. Like, obviously, when you have to get away, you have to get away, and the Shaylin's Gift is going to be a fantastic heal that you're going to have. Otherwise, you can't really top yourself when you're trying to kite away on like a Warrior Mortal Strike or something like that, right? So, whenever you have to get healing to like get away because you literally just can't hit because they're doing too much damage, you just don't have the healing at the second. You can port away, you can cast that, you can get your buff, and then you can port back. You can go back in and do damage again. So that's pretty much how Shaylin's Gifts work. You're only going to want to use it when you have 6 or more stacks, stacks up to 10. So obviously more stacks the better, and that also increases the duration of these buffs. So let's say you have 6 stacks, you're going to get less amount of time with the buff as opposed to 10 stacks. So more stacks the better, but obviously if you have to use it, you have to use it. So I feel like I pretty much covered everything. We are going to look at PvP talents right here. So you never change your PvP talents as a FISTWEAVER. These are talents that I play. I play Alpha Tiger, Peace Weaver, and Fey Accord. Fey Accord is very important, and Peace Weaver is also very important. So if you're going to swap a talent, you're going to swap Alpha Tiger out. Otherwise, these two are pretty much locked in permanently, and Fey Accord basically makes your Phalanx Stomp a 10-second cooldown. So if you have to run a lot during the game, having a 10-second cooldown on your Phalanx Stomp is very important for basically just chasing enemies around with a Phalanx Stomp, because a lot of people run from FISTWEAVERs, so you're basically going to be chasing them the whole game with their Phalanx Stomp. Like, he's running here, I Phalanx Stomp, trying to get a reset here, probably going to get unlucky, but basically every time you cast or do abilities, you have a chance to reset your Phalanx Stomp if you're in your Phalanx Stomp, so you basically just chase people around with your Phalanx Stomp the whole game. And that's how FISTWEAVER works. For CC as a FISTWEAVER, usually you're just PvEing in the middle of the map. Let's pretend this middle map. I'm just doing my rotation, keeping my teammates topped, making sure I have my Mystic's Touch applied, because I do that with my melee attacks, which means you do 5% more physical damage, and you also help your teammates do more damage. And you're basically just doing your rotation. Something that you can do is, if your team is topped and they're popping cooldowns or something, you can roll over to the healer and in-cap the healer. Pretend that's the healer. And that's great for CC, because it'll allow your team to get a lot of pressure, as usually FISTWEAVER just generates a lot of pressure by itself with the amount of damage that it can do. And then you can in-cap, you can sweep out of the in-cap if you want to roll over again, you know, stuff like that. Or you can simply sweep the DPS, and you can triple CC the whole team by yourself as a FISTWEAVER, which is really good. And then some other tricks. If you're getting chased by melee, you can roll away. You can send a ROP if you don't have the port or something, and you pop a Shaylin's Gift or something like that. Port away, port back, stuff like that. Other than that, that's the very, very basics of understanding how FISTWEAVER works. So if you have any questions, obviously I do stream on Twitch. My Twitch link will be in my description. I'm live every day, so you can ask me questions if they weren't like included in the guide. I wanted to make this a very simple, easy to comprehend guide for everybody that wants to learn how to play Mistweaver or FISTWEAVER. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope I covered everything. If I didn't, that fucking sucks, but oh well. Anyways, live on Twitch every day. That's gonna be the guide. That's gonna be it. Appreciate you all for watching. If you want to like the video, subscribe. That would mean a lot, as I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. Anyways, that's gonna be it. I might do guides for other healers. Might have some gameplay videos coming out soon. That's it. See you guys.